Topic, importance, and relevance. The topic for this proposal is the quality of life among parents who do or don't enroll their pre-kindergarten, aged 12 to 48 months, children into early childhood education, or ECE programs, as well as the effects of enrolling into ECE on parents' careers, relationships, and hobbies. This is important to analyze because parents get less community support in raising children than the historical precedent, and recent decades have seen a decline in stay-at-home parenting. The implications of personal well-being and connection are especially relevant in the current post-pandemic landscape. Research questions. Primary. How does enrollment in ECE of children between the ages of 1 and 4 impact the well-being of parents? Secondary. Would more parents enroll their children in ECE if they considered it financially viable? Would more parents enroll their children in ECE if limited spaces and waiting lists were not a factor? Would more families designate a stay-at-home parent if they deemed living off of a single income to be feasible? How does enrollment in ECE impact children's education and socialization later on in childhood? Do families that participate in ECE report satisfaction differently in regard to raising children? How do these factors differ among families with or without outside childhood care support via aunts, uncles, family, friends, or grandparents? Key constructs and definitions. Early childhood education. Participation of a child under the age of 4 in formal early childhood education or care program, not informal home care only. This refers to the care and education outside of the child's home provided by trained staff in centers or regulated settings. Parental stress and well-being. The psychological and emotional burden or relief experienced by parents related to childhood care, responsibilities, and life balance. Financial well-being of parents or family. The financial stability or resources of the family, including capacity to work, reduced economic stress, and the ability to maintain living standards. Parental time use and work-family balance. How parents allocate their time across work, child care, personal leisure, rest, and other responsibilities, and how balanced and manageable that feels. Overview of literature. Within and between sector quality differences in early childhood education and care finds that the difference in early education skills and socialization is not only influenced by enrollment or unenrollment, but also care type. For example, at-home care versus daycare, or solo versus group care. Access to universal childcare and its effect on maternal employment evaluates the impact of childcare coverage policies and reports an increase in maternal employment, showing that parents under the age of 4 often want to work, but cannot without childcare coverage. Do childcare subsidies increase employment among low-income parents? Uses administrative and survey data to find that subsidized childcare significantly increases the probability of employment, especially full-time, among low-income parents. Patterns of stress and well-being among families enrolled in early Head Start Head Start programs observes low-income families that do and do not enroll their children in ECE programs. It documents lessened parental stress and better overall family well-being in families that do enroll in ECE programs. The relationship between childcare services participation and parental subjective well-being under China's three-child policy finds a link between participation in childcare services and increased parental satisfaction among families with children aged 0 to 3. Grandparental support and maternal depression finds that regular grandparental child care support is associated with lower maternal depressive symptoms, particularly for single mothers. The collective findings of these works seems to indicate that parents exhibit increased quality of life and well-being, as well as reduced stress when they participate in ECE programs. It is apparent that parents who do not participate in these programs often would if they had the financial means. Support in childcare, ECE studies, and communal caretaking support contribute to increased maternal employment and lower stress. Gaps in these findings include the following: the difference in impact on fathers compared to mothers, specifically retaining to employment, parental involvement, and overall parental well-being. The difference in impact on single-parent families compared to dual-parent families. Also, the difference in impact on parents who participate in ECE programs at daycare centers compared to at-home care. Finally, the impact that the differing amounts of weekly hours or duration of enrollment have on parental satisfaction. Methodology. Mixed analysis should be utilized. Much of the data collected will be based on participants' testimony and their descriptions of experiences. As this information is not numerical, it is best to find connections between observations, patterns, and interpretation, thus requiring qualitative analysis. Quantitative analysis will be used to analyze the survey results, in which participants will assign numerical ratings to factors such as stress or satisfaction levels, as well as sorting participants into different categories. Participants will be parents of children aged 12 to 48 months. Two groups should be formed: those who do and do not participate in ECE programs. The ECE participating group can be sourced by contacting local daycare centers and in-home care services and requesting to survey their current clientele. The non-participating group can be sourced by requesting to survey the same service provider's current waitlist, as well as sourcing through online parenting groups via social media. Sample size should be in the dozens up to approximately 100 in order to acquire a serviceable sample size. An online survey questionnaire would be most effective, as it can be used to reach a large quantity of parents. An online survey would require fewer resources than personal interviews and would be easier to conduct. especially when surveying participants reached online. Participants should be asked questions that measure their satisfaction and stress numerically, as well as questions that ask for detailed descriptions of their experiences. Participants should be asked to establish factors such as household income, number of adults in parental roles, and access to ECE programs. This would establish clear groups that can be compared to one another. IRB approval would likely be required to conduct this study, as many of the questions require participants to disclose personal, financial, or possibly sensitive information. Participants would be assured that all their answers are confidential and that they can opt out of of answering any questions that make them uncomfortable. Data collection and analysis plan. The data collection will be conducted through an online survey to be distributed to parents of children aged 12 to 48 months. Question will have them disclose factors such as their status as either ECE participants or non-participants, their financial status, their well-being, their child's weekly hours in ECE, if applicable, self-reported stress levels, and the number of parental figures in the household. Participants will have their self-assessed well-being compared to their situation, resulting in a connection being established between childhood education enrollment and parental quality of life. Quantitative data such as number of children, household income, and number of parental figures will be compared to self-assessed personal well-being. Both quantitative data such as stress rating and satisfaction on a numbered scale will be compared to personal testimony and experiences. The goal will be to attribute which factors contribute to positive or negative experience in parenting early childhood. Timeline and feasibility. A proposal to the IRB would disclose the content of all questions, including private, personal, or sensitive information that participants would be asked to disclose. Upon approval, participants would be sourced from local ECE services, clientele, and waiting lists, as well as online parenting forums. The data would be collected through an online survey and would be stored on a secure server for safe and easy access. Mixing both quantitative and qualitative analyses would allow for the clearest picture of both participants' individual circumstances and larger patterns. A final written report would establish the intention of the study, the questions it looks to answer, the methods used to collect and analyze data, key findings, and all conclusions found that are relevant to the research questions.